Good to go. All right, team. Here we are. A Freaky Friday once again with Knoxy and Dylan on the Chasing Better podcast. And guys, today we're talking about something that's a pretty cool little subject. Is your coach a problem solver or a salesman? And so this is one thing we sort of want to get across today and have a little chat about is what a coach actually does and why it's really important to view it from this situation. So, brother, how are you?
Fantastic, man. I've had a bit of a nose thing going on for the last 3 days. So not COVID still. I'm all clear.
Is that the thing underneath your lip there, or?
No, I watched Top Gun for the second time in like 3 weeks last weekend. So I thought I'd do it just to annoy Beck when she comes home.
Yeah. Oh, awesome, man. Cool. Yep. So yeah, man. And today's call is all about problem solving versus sales. What are we talking about today, man?
Yeah, so I figured this would be a great topic to touch on because I get a lot of people that either message through social media, as you would have experienced as well, that are often asking what is the best option to go with when it comes to finding a coach, or do I even need one, or like what do they do? Like, I often end up having conversations with people to make sure that they're finding someone that's actually going to not just sell them all the products in the world and sell them on happiness and fitness and all this sort of stuff, but never actually talk about the issues that they as a client actually have then and now. Because a lot of coaches I've seen in the industry, I mean, you see it on social media every day. It's like, hey, come and lose weight, come and lose weight, come and lose weight, come and lose weight. But it's like, as we've talked on, so many podcasts before, it's like, there's so much more to it than that. And in terms of getting a long-term result that you can actually keep for life, instead of flogging yourself for years and then going, well, what's the point? I think this is a really, really good topic to kind of drive into, because there'll be a lot of people out there, and let us know in the comments, guys, like if you're someone that's kind of had this conversation with someone before, or you've had it with yourself going, do I need a coach? Who do I talk to? These are those common questions. Yeah. Like, we'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And like, I guess one of the big things is like, if you really think about what a fitness journey is, like, it's a lifelong journey. And, quite often we have these sales pitches that are like, hey, lose, 20 kilos in 12 weeks while you're eating liver. And it's, and it's like,
Liver King.
Yeah. Look, it might be great for that 12 weeks, but what happens after it? And that's where the coaching actually comes in, because, ultimately anything works for a little while. Anything works. You can walk as you did, man. You can lift a little bit of weights, but at some point you're going to run into a problem, and that's where coaching comes in.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I've mentioned it before, things like the potato diet, the this diet, the that diet, that is like, again, we get pulled in so many different directions as consumers, because again, like, we're all part of the marketplace, so to speak, that is fitness, that unfortunately, I think what I've started talking to a lot of my clients about is that there is so much information out there that, again, we just get lost. It's the same as when you go and try and buy a car, right? Like, there's that many different models and types, and is it bloody powered by the sun or whatever? Like, you don't know what the best option is unless you actually, do a bit of shopping around. But it's like, where do you start with that shopping around, I suppose? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also that analogy, of like going to buy a car. You might buy, let's say you walk into a car yard and you're like, shit, that Mini looks good. And then you realize, 4 weeks later, you're actually 6'5" and 150 kilos, and you probably don't suit a Mini. So it's like, where do you go from there? So.
And you've got 6 kids. You're like, where am I going to fit these? Do I just stack them in the boot? No, that's apparently frowned upon.
Yeah. And that's it with fitness, isn't it, man? Like, with a fitness program, especially with like online coaching and, in the gym, there's got to be a different solution, because, some people have different goals. Some people have different things where they may have 6 kids, or they may have, like a work where they fly in, fly out, or, they may have something that comes up along the way. Let's say they get COVID and, they lose momentum. And it's like, okay, look, that mini that worked 4 weeks ago, okay, maybe we need to look at something else because of the current problems you're facing right now.
Yeah, and I think that's a common thing we find with like even advertising for like my gym, for example, and for online coaching, right? Like the market of fitness like is changing all the time. And personally, I think people in general are becoming a little bit smarter as to what to look for, which is good.
Absolutely.
But it also means that people become extremely hesitant to actually even hear what you have to offer as well at the same time, I find. So you've got to be really careful not to kind of push too hard. And I think when it all boils down to it, the people that actually go out leading with that, okay, what problem do you currently have and how can I be of service to help you fix that problem or adjust it or get through it better on a daily basis? All of a sudden people go, oh, actually, this guy is more than just seeing me as a dollar sign. Because again, as a client in fitness, in the medical industry, in buying a car, you should never feel like, or you should never be made to feel like a dollar sign, in my opinion. Because I feel that's a really, really wrong way of going about sales. Because long term, you're just getting kicked to the curb. And then when it comes to fitness, like we know, there are the mental health aspects. We know that there's the long-term effects of, crash dieting and, flogging yourself senseless with, 8,000 calorie workouts and shit like this. Like these sorts of mental things that we need to look at is why I feel like being able to help guide people to figuring out what their problem is. Because a lot of the time people don't actually know what their crux or their main issue is. Now, us as coaches, we can obviously generally look at them or hear them on the phone and go within 30 seconds, okay, you've got an issue with your nutrition, you've got an issue with your sleep, you've got an issue with the kids being, taking up all your time, all these sorts of stuff. But if we can't get that client to actually understand that those are pain points and that those are their actual issues, not just I need to lose 5 kilos, like you're just not getting enough buy-in. Like the client's just never going to stick with you long term, and B, yeah, they may get results to start with, or they may not, but they're definitely not going to get long-term results. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I know we've touched on this heaps of times, man, about like process over outcome. And, that's what it all boils down to really. And I know for you, man, like what problems do you generally work with and what solutions do you offer for them?
So problems that we generally see, now again, I usually work on keeping it super simple. Now again, my framework is training, nutrition, accountability, and then the mindset that goes with all of that. So nurturing the mindset along the way in the background is probably the most important part, because that ties into your accountability, having someone to report to, i.e. a coach or a PT or a trainer or whatever label you want to put on it. Or even just having an app, right, that you can show up to every day to, log in, get your workout done, tick off, okay, oh, my weights have gone up this week. Awesome. Oh, my body weight's come down. Oh, okay. Maybe I'm heading in the right direction, right? Like those are the sort of simple pillars that I stick to, because I find that, again, you can really overcomplicate weight loss if you want to and if you choose to. But if you stick to just the basics of move more, eat a bit cleaner and less processed, and have someone to chat to about results, staying on target, setting some goals. And if you're just having a shit week, those things is going to work so much better long term, instead of here's a meal plan, here's $600 in return, I'll see you in 6 months. Right? Like that doesn't, there's no substance to that, right? But again, it's like, cool, that's a style of PT at the moment. That's a style of online coaching, is like, cool, buy my program, see you later. Buy this, see you later. Oh, you've trained with me for 3 months. Cool, buy a towel, buy a shirt. It's like, there's all this sales stuff, but there's no focus on, did we fix your problem? Oh, you lost 5 kilos. Cool, write me a testimonial. Like, did it fix anything? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of, and it's such just an empty coaching process compared to, like, again, and I'll state it till the cows come home. Money isn't my driving factor as a coach. The driving factor for me is when a client comes to me and goes, hey man, I realized I can do X, Y, Z because you showed me how to do X, Y, Z, right? Like this, like that's, you can't beat that. Because when a student or a client or whatever comes to you, and it doesn't matter if you're teaching someone to work the checkouts at retail or teaching someone a deadlift for the first time, but when they can come to you as a student of learning that goes, I figured it out, or I'm now better at this. Thank you. Like, you can't beat that. Like, that's fulfillment that money will never be able to buy.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And like, that's the beautiful thing about coaching, you know, and like, it doesn't even have to be a lot sometimes, but like, as you said, when you're going through that process, and it might be that someone just sends you that little message like, hey, look, today's been bloody shit. I feel like giving up, you know, like, because quite often people do message you and say, hey, look, I think I want to take a break, you know, like if I had COVID last week, it's been a shit time at work. You know, and then like sometimes you dig a little bit deeper, you know, and you realize like the problem was actually a loss of belief where, you know, sometimes they're like, hey, look, I feel like I've lost all my progress. You know, I've had 2 weeks off training. But when you realize like that's ultimately not the truth, you know, and it's just that's life. And I think what you said there, man, about having that really, really simple process for, you know, weight loss, all of this sort of stuff. And then when it gets to that sticky point, that's when you rely on your coach, you know, and it's a great way. It's very, very good.
Because I also find that like so many people now are expecting like these multi-million-dollar award-winning programs and award-winning success. And like, and this is as a client, right? Like clients are walking out into the fitness marketplace and, you know, Canva designs for ads are getting like better and shinier and sharper and clearer and like explosions and fire and all this sort of shit. Like, yeah, we use them. It's a pattern interrupt. But again, a lot of clients are walking out into that marketplace going, well, fuck, maybe I do need the Mercedes of personal training. Maybe not, actually. Like if your goals don't require that and you're not trying to be a world-class athlete in fucking whatever sport or lifting or whatever, cool. And you're just trying to be a better mom, like, yeah, sweet. Stick with the basics first. Like find something that fits your avatar, so to speak, or your, you know, your character traits, like all these sorts of things. And again, it's just something to be aware of when you are walking into the marketplace, right? Like, because everyone will go on carsales.com. They'll all go and talk to 15 different mates that know about cars before they go and buy a car, right? There's not many people that just show up to a dealership these days and just go, got some money in the bank, thought I'd buy a car. Like, you know, there's generally a process involved of like looking around and doing a bit of research. And again, you don't want to spend 2 years doing research on buying a car or finding the perfect coach, but you still want to put a bit of thought and effort into it to go, cool, I've got these sorts of issues going on that I want to fix or get better at. Does this person fit those needs with what they offer? And then go from there. Like, and I think that's a lot better than just walking in blind and going, fix me, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes too, like, I think people need to just take that leap of faith sometimes, you know, and it's like, once you've sort of looked around and you found someone that you connect with, you know, it's like, reach out to them, ask them a few questions, because sometimes like people back off because they're afraid to sort of say, hey, look, I'm actually really struggling with this. And like, if we look at it, like a lot of people, when they even start a fitness journey, like let's say they've got an injury or, you know, they're really struggling to make it stick. A lot of people think that that's only them. They don't realize that 95% of people don't actually consistently exercise. 95%. And a big thing of that is like people think they're broken, people think that they're not good enough. And realistically, it's like sometimes if you just reach out to, you know, a coach that is approachable and, you know, seems knowledgeable and actually looks like they care about their clients, sometimes just asking a couple of questions. Hey, Knoxy, what do you think about this, man? Look, I'm starting my weight loss journey. You know, I've seen your podcast on, you know, your first 100 meters, and I thought it really got me inspired. Just wondering, man, what do you think about this? And sometimes, you know, like there'll be those coaches that are literally just there to say, hey, look, don't even ask me that question. Here's my program. And it's like, but then you got the coaches that are like, hey, mate, great question. I think this will really work for you. You know, what's your thoughts on this solution? And that's, as we're going back to, is like, you know, if you got a problem, you know, that's what a good coach will do, is actually solve your problem. So it's very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, case in point, perfect example. Literally, 2 hours ago, I signed up a new client, right? Now, this is a lady I've known for probably 3 or 4 years. I met her through, online gaming and stuff like that, because I'm a big gamer in my spare time, when I do get some time for that. But she's followed my content for, 3, 4 years since I've known her. She messaged me today and was like, hey, I'm really time poor. I know that I've told you that excuse heaps of times when we've been gaming and shit like that, but I really love the vibe that you do on your social media page. I love the vibe at your gym. I love the vibe of what you're about with training. Like, how do I get started? Could I get started? Like, she had like a billion questions, but the big thing that shone through for me is that I know she's time poor, right? So I know she has that problem or pain point, right? I didn't focus on the fact that, cool, there's, certain amount of dollars a week that I can bring in because I'm just going to sign her up. Like that's going to happen if I fix the problem. Like, so the money is never the issue, right? So for me, I jumped on, I literally just video called her straight away. I didn't even respond. So I was just like, hey man, how do we fix your time poorness? Run me down your week. Let's see how we work on that first. And then let's see if I'm actually a good fit for you. And she was like, oh, what do you mean if you're a good fit for me? I'm like, well, I need to make sure that we can actually help you long-term, not just, smash you into the floor for a couple of weeks with training and maybe get a result, right? And she was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then literally 5 minutes later, we'd sorted out her work week. We'd actually found time in her week to schedule some sessions that she 100% could attend, and start the ball rolling. And again, she was happy as Larry to finally have someone go, yes, it is possible, but also happy at the fact that I'd taken that time to not care about the money, but actually care about the person themselves and what she wanted to actually get done. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And like the big thing is when you start to find, a coach that can solve your problem, it's just life-changing for a lot of people. And that's the difference in the industry, is like good coaches, helping out good people, actually make health a bit of an actual, like, that's what they're about. That's their identity, is they're a healthy person. And it's very exciting to see a lot more coaches around like that now.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, coaches are becoming a lot more aware of the fact, well, hopefully, from what I've seen anyway, they're becoming a lot more aware of the fact that, like, people hate being seen as a dollar sign. They might not tell you to your face, but ultimately they hate it because they've had people try and flog them subs. They've had people try, this isn't to rag on it, but like, it's happened. People have joined those things and go, cool, I need to find 20 friends and sell to them as soon as possible. And it's like, cool, you're not going to have a long-term business. But again, it doesn't matter what it is that you're trying to do in that marketplace. Like, if you're going out with that purpose, yeah, you'll make sales to start with because you've got passion and a bit of drive and motivation and all that sort of stuff. But ultimately, you will fall in a hole, or you'll have a massive lull when people start to go, well, you're not actually caring about that 5 seconds of talking to me. You just want to sell me something. And this is where we come back. We look right back to the start. And it's like, cool, what's the problem? Or am I being a salesman? Right? Like, these two things, like, it's such a powerful thing for the everyday person who just wants to get a little bit of help, be a little bit better, or just start, right? That's probably a big message for today. It's like, really kind of, and take that 2 seconds, like you said, to ask those couple of questions. It might be your favorite influencer. Yeah, they might do meal plans and stuff, and they may actually be the best bloody fit for you and what you've got going on. But like you said, reach out, send them a message. And generally, you'll know within that first couple of responses, A, if you're talking to a robot, B, if it's all about sales, because they're like, cool, man, here's my program, let's go. Right? If they don't ask you any questions or, anything like that, like, that's generally a red flag. I mean, what's your thoughts, Dill? Have you got any sort of red flags you've had people mention to you about, online sales or in-person sales? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, man. Like, big time, you'll always see it. And it's like, it's becoming clearer and clearer now. Like, most people have been through that cycle now. The last sort of 5 years where, they've had these programs just thrown at them. They've had all sorts of stuff thrown at them, and people are starting to realize, oh shit, why didn't that work? And so it's pretty clear now that, like, if you're not doing a good job, it's going to show up pretty quick. And that, as you said, man, that's why people are hesitant. but it's also like, don't be hesitant because it's your health that's on the line, and this is what this podcast is all about, is about chasing your better, chasing better. And so when you want to chase your better, it's no one else's. And what you actually have to do is put your health first and go out and ask those questions. Because if you don't, you put it off, and then, you maybe 6 months, 12 months down the road, you put on a bit more weight, you get a bit more unhealthy, you've started to dig that hole just a little bit deeper. And, then it's like, it may be too late, so don't ever leave it too late. And that's one of my big things. And it's also like, go and ask those questions, find out who is that right coach for you. And also listen to the coach as well. Like they're a coach for a reason. They're not a coach who doesn't know what they know. And, like a lot of the stuff you've probably seen on social media can be very, very confusing. So just try to listen to your coach and ask them some really good questions, and you'll be able to know if they've got you in the right place anyway.
Yeah. And I suppose probably the last thing I want to touch on is, like, this is a really important thing as well, is like cars, like, buying other items and things. A lot of people expect that they get it right the first time. And like we've said a few times before, like, you're not going to find the perfect coach first time. I myself have gone through, since doing my weight loss, 1, 2, 3, probably about 8 to 10 different coaches. Now, some for strength training, some for nutrition, some for, just learning coaching skills and things like that, like communication and whatnot. And then some because, I liked the way that they trained, and I was like, cool, man, I'd be interested to try some of that, Real Movement Project, for example, like learning handstands and juggling and all that sort of stuff, knee over toes, ATG, all that sort of stuff. Like, again, all of these people have had amazing content, but they've also led with the message of, have you got a problem that looks like this? Maybe you could try what we do and fix it, right? Like that was a message that always shone through on every single one of those occasions. And I think like for the everyday person out there that is listening and they are thinking about taking that first step, it's like, don't be afraid to make a bad decision with your coach, right? Like if it ends up being that it just doesn't work out, cool. You can always cancel your membership or go and find another coach. Like, it's not the end of the world. So like you said, make sure that doesn't inhibit you from actually taking the step of getting a coach, right? Like, don't be too afraid to like, okay, it didn't work. That coach was a bad fit or whatever. So now I just won't ever look for a coach. And it's like, no, because that just puts you further behind, right? So there will be moments where you're like, cool, yeah, and sometimes it's purely for the fact that you've kind of reached the end of your tether with that coach because you've learned all you can, or, you might be looking at trying a new skill or something like that, so, because again, people love trying new things. They love new challenges. So, I've seen people that have gone from like powerlifters to now compete in, Ninja Warrior Australia, right? Like ex-rugby players that have switched from that. And I can guarantee you, they probably still chat to their coach that used to teach them, rugby and all that sort of stuff. But now they've got a coach that is designed just for Ninja Warrior or, acrobatic ability or whatever, so yeah.
Yeah, it's always like go general for a start and then find the specialist.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like that, actually. Go general and then find specifics. That's good. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
Yeah. It's what I do all the time.
Yeah.
I just, I won't tell you how much I'm about to pay for.
How many coaches do you reckon you've had over the years? You'd have to be double figures, easy.
Oh, no, probably not as many as I should.
Okay.
In terms of mentoring, lots and lots and lots. In terms of specialist coaches, I wish I had done it a lot earlier, to be completely honest.
Yep.
Because that was ultimately like I was trying to figure it out on myself, and I thought I was fairly fit and this sort of thing, and it just led me down. I just ended up, I didn't actually know a thing. Like I still don't know a thing, and it's really interesting. And so it's like, and it's also too like, I got a lot of things to think about. I got a lot of clients to think about. I got family and that sort of thing, and so it's actually quite nice having a coach to take care of me.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, you learn a lot from certain styles of coaching, or certain programming things. And it's definitely something I really enjoy and really value now. It's absolutely huge. Like it's the gateway to everything really. Like coaching, it's like if you sort of think about what it is, if you think of a tribe situation, back in the day, you probably had someone in the tribe who was, you know, the run coach or the go and catch the cow coach, you know, but there was something like that probably in every tribe, and you go and talk to them, you know. And so I think it's a missing link. Like we're a little bit too individual these days, where ultimately you just go and search out people and, you know, learn what you can, and when you've done your time, you sort of go on, you know. So
no, good man. Yeah, sweet.
Awesome, bro. Cool.
Awesome.
Well, as always, guys, like love to hear your feedback, love to hear your thoughts, and you know, if you do need to reach out at any time, you know, drop Knoxy a bit of a line. He's always keen to have a chat, and he'll look after you very well.
Yeah, guys, like I said, probably the biggest takeaways, if anything, today is make sure you do ask a few questions, but also be listening to the responses you get back from potential coaches. So are they actually interested in my issues or problems I may be facing currently, whether it's, you know, nutrition, training, whatever, mindset, you know, time management, all these sorts of things. And do you think that they'll be a good fit? And again, if you find a shit coach to start off with and it's the first one you've messaged, like don't let that put you off. Okay, there's coaches for everything out there. Trust us, we've been there. We're in that industry. That's why we're passing this on to you. So keep looking. And again, if you are needing help, guys, my door's always open, and would love to help. So yeah, I suppose we'll wrap it up there, man. And thanks again for another awesome episode. And we'll see you guys next time on the podcast.
See ya.